What is the best witty comeback you've ever witnessed? Grandpa, in my day kids were seen and not heard. Grandson, so were the movies. The future is now old man. Drunken customer angry about not being treated like a queen at the grocery store. You don't frick with a 54-year-old woman. Seafood counter clerk. What's your daughter have to do with this? That's what experts in human conflict call escalation. Back in 10th grade we had a long-term substitute physics teacher, younger guy, so the tough guys in class wanted to have a dong measuring contest with him like daily. They constantly made fun of him and joked about his wife. One day, I didn't hear the start of it, but one kid said something like, "I'll bury my face in your wife's tea." Teacher had obviously had enough and said, "No, the only D's you're ever going to see are your grades." The class exploded. Nobody ever told on the teacher for saying that, and the guys stopped messing with him. Sitting in a bar in a country well known for H, a guy walks in and starts yelling at a girl, "B, you gave me VD." She looked at him and said, "No, I didn't, you bought it." That guy got burned twice. I miss my late uncle. He was the wittiest mother I ever knew. Not a joke teller, just had great one-line comebacks that were never mean, just funny. My favorite was when he went out to eat to a diner with my aunt, his wife, and my mom, just the three of them. The waitress said to him, "Lucky you, getting to eat with two ladies." My uncle replied, "Yes, but can you hurry it up? I have to get home to my wife." My mom's dad had passed away a couple of days previously, the night before the funeral, a dark and stormy night. The funeral home called at 9 p.m. to tell my mom she had forgotten a tie for the suit for tomorrow's showing. She freaked out, realizing she would have to drive over to the nursing home to fetch a tie and then drive to the funeral home. Dad, who loved himself his clip-on ties and had many of them, said, "Oh, don't go doing that trip on a night like tonight and at this time of night. Just grab one of my clip-on ties and take it with you in the morning." My mom, who actually hated that my dad had never learned to tie a tie, responded without missing a beat, "My father wouldn't be caught dead wearing a clip-on tie." Seconds after she realized what she had said, she burst into tears. Savaged, from beyond the grave, wolf howls. Was talking to a friend about preferred sexual positions and he said, "I like being on the bottom, because all I do is freak up anyways." Classic self-roast. Overly condescending boss looking over my work. "Can I ask a stupid question?" Me, "On my last week at that job, you seem qualified." "Sure, I've seen you do it before." I had a supervisor who was making fun of a guy's last name. The guy took it and didn't really say anything. When he was done, the supervisor asked him to email him something and the guy wanted to clarify the spelling of the supervisor's last name, which was Windsor. He said, "Your name doesn't have a D in it, right?" The supervisor said no. So the guy said, "Okay, so just out your bag then," and walked away. Beautiful. Jimmy Carr was at another comedian's show and he started laughing. If you've seen him you'll know how distracting that would be. The guy on stage, can't remember who it was, brutally savaged him with, "Jimmy, when I come to your shows I don't laugh at your jokes." Overheard. First guy, braggart and jerk, "I've got this great new job. I've got over 100 guys under me." Second guy, smart but, "What, you're mowing lawns at a cemetery?" I was 13 in dance class with some older, catty girls. One of them was picking on me, which ended with her remarking, "Bite me." I responded with, "I'm trying to cut fat from my diet." Entire dance team heard it and proceeded to chastise me for being so mean. Served her right, the cow. KOED. Comedian, "I remembered the first time I have sex." Girl in the audience, "Yesterday?" Audience, laughing. Comedian, "I'm glad you remember." Audience, screaming. I remember some guy on Reddit a couple of years ago in one of these types of threads talking about this encounter he had in a grocery store. He was behind this woman who was giving the cashier a bunch of crap over something. She was being a real chump. Finally sick of her attitude he tells her to lighten up and stop holding up the line. He's getting kinda pee that she's double barreling this kid who's done nothing wrong. So she whips around on him and says, "This is none of your dang business." And he responds, "Listen lady, I'm a veterinarian. Be my business." Don't know if that story's true. Don't care. I thought it was amazing. Also effective. I'm a gynecologist. See my business. Guy in grad school was really into war history and building army models, fighter jets, aircraft carriers etc. He was quiet and smart but handsome and part of the main crowd, athletic etc. but very much a history war buff. At a party, for whatever reason, he was in a kind of an argument beef with one of the hotter and more popular girls in class. The greatest comeback I've ever heard was as follows. Girl, whatever Dan, why don't you go play with your model planes? Guy, immediately, without missing a beat, great idea. I can land them on your flat chest. The reaction from the crowd added insult to injury as people went bonkers like it was a walk-off home run in a playoff baseball game. Never have I heard a better comeback, real or scripted, ever since. During middle school math class, one of the boys, overweight, was being made fun of by this petite girl. You should put on a bra. You need it. You should take off your bra. You don't need it. The class went ooh and the guy got a few fist bumps. She cried. My grandfather died quite a bit before his time, and my grandmother would get a lot of calls for him. One telemarketing firm was particularly pushy and one day an unbelievably condescending salesperson called and demanded to speak to the man of the household. My grandmother, who was normally restrained to a fault, replied, "Well, as soon as he comes back from the dead I'll have him call you," and slammed the phone. They actually did stop calling after that. A student told another he wasn't the sharpest crayon in the box. He responded, "You're the sharpest because no one wants to work with you." Before you read on, please know that my relationship with my 14-year-old son is built on giving each other a hard time. I said a bad word. Don't remember which or why. You're a horrible mother. If I'm so horrible, how did you turn out so awesome? I spent a lot of time with dad. Wrecked. Son, I can't wait to put you in a home. Me, I should have drowned you in the bathtub. He's 21 and in butthole. Shakespeare's plays are full of them. Ajax, I shall cut out your tongue. Thersites, 'tis no matter. I shall speak as much as thou afterwards. Hamlet, oh frick. Had a really whitey teacher for my game design class. The vice principal hated him for whatever reason. One day we were all studiously working with our headphones on programming away while our teacher was up front reading a book. Very available and approachable if we had any questions. Then the VP walks in the room. VP, Mr. Teacher, it has come to my attention that you have absolutely no control over this class. This is unacceptable. Teacher gives him a fairly nonchalant stare, coolly and calmly places his book down, and claps his hands loudly 3 times, which was his very effective way of getting our attention while listening to music. Mind you, the following occurred without us knowing why the VP was there or what he had said. Teacher, okay class, listen up. I have an exercise for you. This'll only take a few moments. First and foremost, everybody stand up. We all stood up in near unison very quickly. Teacher, good. Now I want all of you to leave the room and stand outside in the hallway, and no matter what this guy says, as he points his finger at VP, do not come back in the room until I say so. Okay, go. We all exit the room, a little intrigued by what was going on. Teacher, okay VP, bring them back in the classroom. We didn't budge. To this day, that is one of my favorite stories to tell. When I was in high school, this very large, overweight kid who always picked on me waited till things got quiet in the classroom and said, "Whoa, Milkerson eats dongs." Everyone laughed, and I got embarrassed and nervous, and a few seconds later, after people finished laughing, I stuttered out, "Yeah, well, you eat everything." I don't know where that came from, but holy crap, the entire room lost it. Haha. Mayo, this sounds like the goofiest genuine comeback in this thread. Amazing. Special ed student, you're so dumb you make me look like a genius. I was the instructional aide and had to stop the other kid from trying to fight him, but that burn was so sick it got a chuckle out of me. Self-deprecating humor is the best kind. One of my prouder moments, I was 17, and a 12 or so year old kid came up to me. Kid, hey babe, can I have your number? Me, why, do you need a babysitter? Oh, I hope he was with a group of friends. Not exactly a comeback insult, but Once in biology class we were going over DNA and genetics. We were talking about how traits can be inherited from parent to offspring flowers and how some could have all the same traits and some could have mixed traits. The packet we used called the same traits flowers purebred and the other ones is mixed. Then a girl in the class asked a question. Girl, have we ever tried to make purebred humans? Teacher, yeah, some Germans in the 30s and 40s tried to. Girl, really? What happened? Teacher, World War II. Followed by laughter from the rest of the class. I remember reading the, possibly apocryphal, story of a student being told no excuse would be accepted for not taking a test that was the next day. Some student decided to be funny and said, what about sheer sexual exhaustion? To which the teacher quickly replied, I guess you'll have to write it with your other hand then. I think that's originally from Bash.org, maybe. Churchill and some lady were having an argument. Lady, if you were my husband, so I would poison your coffee. Churchill, if you were my wife, I'd drink it. Can't forget the most famous Churchill comeback. I may be drunk, but tomorrow, I'll be sober and you'll still be ugly. Overheard two guys in the restroom while at the urinals. Guy 1 tries to embarrass Guy 2. Guy 1, what's with that red ring on your dong? You need to go get that checked out. Guy 2, it's just your mom's lipstick from when I saw her last night. Decent comeback, but the real burn is gonna come from whatever STD that guy has. The class clown of my classmates, let's call him K, was known notoriously for pee off teachers with crude, obscene and insulting jokes. Well, one day K decided to ask a 30-something-year-old teacher Miss ever had a baby, in which the teacher replied with a simple no, but that's not where it ends. K then says to the teacher with a face that only appears on the stupidest of people, well, I could give you one, which caused a few sniggers in class. The corners of the teacher's mouth curled into a smile and with grace she walked to her desk and said, no K, I don't want to adopt you, which caused the whole class to erupt into laughter and K shoot up for the rest of that year in English. This is still one of the best comebacks I've ever heard. So simple yet so powerful. Oh, you might be able to get away with that in math class, maybe in history, but that kid had no chance against someone who had a far better grasp of the English language. At a Chinese restaurant with my overweight friend. Waitress, would you like any wonton soup? Chubby buddy, look at me. I'll take 2 tons of it. Dude had quick wit. Me and a buddy were at GameStop just browsing and hanging out. Employee comes up to us and asks if we need help finding anything. We told him we were just looking. This was right after the Nintendo DS XL just came out, and he starts trying to sell us on it. Me, never having been the handheld gamer, told him I wasn't really interested. He decided his ace in the hole would be touting the newer, bigger 4-inch screen. Having enough, I responded, take it from me, 4 inches isn't that impressive. That was the end of his sales pitch. If you're a guy, this is a great self-roast. If you're a girl, this is just a great roast in general. One time I was at a coffee shop with my good friend and I saw a dime on the floor. Jokingly, I gave it to him and said, there, you can buy yourself a life with this. It kinda sounds funnier in my language. And he quickly answered, I'll just buy yours and give you back the change. In high school, there was a jerk who was a local star athlete and was pretty much the high school cool athlete bully stereotype. His attempts to pick on people were pretty lame, but people always laughed at them because he was cool, and you always laugh at what the cool kid says. He liked to do the an 80-year-old woman called, she wants her upper back strength back type jokes. He also wanted to go to Cornell on a wrestling scholarship. Not only didn't he get the scholarship, he also didn't get accepted to Cornell. One day, when he was in the middle of one of his so-and-so called routines, I said, hey, Cornell called. Oh wait, never mind. No, they didn't. Actually, I didn't think of that until the next day, and it's one of my life's greatest regrets. The jerk store called. You have been visited by the holy doggo. Like this video and subscribe for a good luck. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day, you magnificent people.